Good morning. It's Wednesday, January 13th, and this is a rant about what happened over the last couple of days. It's directly related to the January 6th invasion of the Capitol. In the aftermath of the events that took place after the invasion of the Capitol, the spotlight was put on Twitter, President Trump, and Twitter banished him for life. That was like cutting out his tongue. He had no way to communicate with his minions. But he found, and I found out, that there are other sites that are available to people. And these sites that Trump went looking at are extreme sites. They're extremely right-wing sites. Anti-Semitic, anti-black, anti-establishment sites. And one of them is the social media service called Parler. But Parler vanished before midnight Sunday Pacific time when Amazon followed through on its threat to stop hosting the public messaging platform that had exploded in popularity when it began hosting Donald's messages and had been used by Trump's son, Eric and Donald Jr. The disappearance of Parler shows that big tech is finally getting a message, and they are restricting content they label as dangerous after last week's mob attack on the U.S. Capitol. Amazon said in a letter to Parler over the weekend that it had seen a steady increase in violent content on the site, and it said Parler's efforts to remove it were inadequate. While Apple and Google had removed Parler's app from their app stores, the action by Amazon had a much more severe impact because Amazon provided the back-end service that hosts the Parler's website and their databases. Now, it does that for many companies, but it looks like Amazon is taking an action now to monitor the content of the sites that it may be hosting. Now, this could be a serious blow to many of these, what I will call smaller sites that can't afford their own equipment. And it's about time that big tech took some action because of the violent nature of the posts that have been appearing on these sites. Now, of course, that will lead to a battle about the First Amendment, freedom of speech. Who is to define the freedom of speech? As I look at this and I see verbiage and I hear verbiage that talks about killing special agents and killing police and killing anybody that gets in their way. Is that freedom of speech? That's in the same category as yelling fire in a crowded movie theater. You can't do that. You can't post violence on these sites and other forms of rhetoric that are readily available. So Parler gets shut down. And lo and behold, there's another fringe social network that's called Gab. And Gab is known to attract white nationalists, conspiracy theorists, the far right, and personalities banned from the mainstream platforms. And Gab has gained 600,000 new users on Sunday alone. And the founder of this site, Andrew Torba, who launched this site in 2016, said on Monday that his team added 10 new servers to cope with the demand resulting in the sudden influx. So we shut down Parler, but we now have created a monster out of the site called Gab. Now, this surge of activity to Gab hasn't been independently verified, but the site owner, Torba, posted to his Gab account, his Gab Twitter account, that this was a great opportunity for him to export the First Amendment to billions of people around the world that do not have that luxury. Loaded, he expects opposition from the government. At least he's smart enough to have his own equipment, so he can't be shut down that easily. But what I understand from this exercise, or what I learned, is that there are many more fringe participants in the evil world of sedition, white nationalism, anti-Semitism, right-wing theories than I ever imagined. So while we all knew about Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Google, we don't know anything about sites like Gab and Parler unless you're on the inside of that evil community. So my lesson here is that there are many homes for extremists, and they found Parler and they found Gab, and who knows what else is out there that they could find and use. Now, Gab says you can't unlawfully threaten anybody or incite imminent lawless action, but it's there, and it will not punish its users for exercising their God-given right to speak freely, again with freedom of speech, by their definition. And Torba says that Google and Apple and Amazon are a threat. He called them the Silicon Valley tyrants. He views them as a threat to independent sites. And if they do right, if Apple and Google and Amazon do right, then I would call them heroic and not a threat, because it's a heroic act to attempt to stop somebody's version of freedom of speech. That is a tough, tough sell in this country. So I leave you with that, with the thoughts that there are a lot of dangerous sites out there, and they will come to the surface when the situation arises. So in any event, I will see you in the morning. Bye.